This may be a prison, but it's far from ordinary. In fact, it's the most luxurious prison the world has ever seen. From a glamorous nightclub, where Pablo Escobar danced with Colombia's elite beauties, to a sinister torture chamber, where his enemies vanished into darkness, La Catedral hides a chilling secret. But why did Colombia go to such lengths to keep the inside a secret? What is hiding inside La Catedral? Escobar lies in his bed thinking about the day ahead. This is Escobar's cell, but it's far from what you might imagine. It's fitted with a king-sized bed, topped with the finest Egyptian linen sheets, surrounded by million-dollar paintings, fine oak wood furniture, and a wall-length bookshelf. Behind the bed, a handcrafted blue ceramic tile art piece of the Virgin Mary adorns the wall. His room doubles as one of his offices. Next to his bed is his workstation. Even behind bars, the cartel boss runs a sprawling drug empire unmatched in scale. To a man like Escobar, image is everything, even in prison. He spends hours perfecting his look, ensuring every detail reflects his power. He brushes his teeth for 45 minutes, and because of his large belly, he measures his weight every morning. Each day of Pablo Escobar's life is a roller coaster, and today is no different. As he makes his way to breakfast, Escobar passes a wanted poster of himself and high-ranked cartel members pinned to the wall. It hangs there like a trophy in a brown wooden frame. He's fully embraced his role as a villain, with a collection of every wanted poster ever issued against him, shown off with pride. His kitchen and living room are brand new, fitted with pristine marble, shiny appliances, and elegant ornaments, but he won't be eating here. Escobar rarely eats alone, always surrounded by his closest allies. Escobar is on his way to another part of the prison, a place designed to his exact specifications. As he walks, he passes the rooms of his top lieutenants and sicarios. Like his, their rooms are lavishly furnished, exuding wealth and power. At the center of one room stands a big circular bed, where most rooms would have a crucifix. A massive black-and-white portrait of Escobar hangs, just to remind his goons that he's always watching. It's not hard to see why the Colombian government was so eager to keep the prison and its details hidden from the public. Back inside, the boss starts his day. Today, Escobar will be eating with his lieutenants inside his giant casino. This room, nearly 500 square meters, is where the narco spends most of his time. As he sits down, Escobar is brought his usual breakfast. His private chef cooks a traditional Colombian plate of rice, eggs, roast beef, fried plantain, arepa, beet salad, and couples it with a glass of milk. It might be hard to imagine, but we are miles away from civilization, up a rugged jungle mountainside, and yet here Escobar has commissioned an industrial-grade setup fit for even the finest restaurant. It's fully stocked with multiple fridges and cooking areas. Just a single one of these fridges could cost upwards of $5,000. The entire kitchen alone set the boss back nearly $75,000. Right now, the chefs and staff are prepared for a typical occurrence in the million-dollar prison, but tonight something's different. Two prominent guests are set to arrive, their visit poised to capture global attention. Escobar finishes his meal. Even though he's behind bars for countless crimes, his transnational drug empire still runs like clockwork. Escobar stands up and heads to the office. It's probably a good moment to mention just how Pablo Escobar ended up behind bars. By the 1970s and 1980s, Medellin, Colombia, had become the epicenter of the worldwide cocaine trade. Drugs were flowing out, and an unimaginable amount of money was flowing in. But gangs, organizations, and drug lords were split. Escobar, being the sharp drug lord that he was, saw this as an opportunity. He used his charm and ruthless tactics to unite these groups under his banner. With internal divisions settled, the Medellin cartel raked in billions of dollars a year, but all of this came at a deadly cost. Back in his gilded cage, Escobar takes a pause before heading into the office. He has a telescope mounted right outside, pointed at his family's home down the mountain. Escobar bought this house to maintain vigilance over his family and facilitate frequent visits. His wife, Maria, whom he married when he was 26 and she was 15, lives there with their 2 children, Sebastian and Manuela. The decision to place the prison was strategic, offering more than just an incredible view. He had spent endless hours as a child roaming these hills, meaning he knows the area like the back of his hand. The elevation adds an extra layer of security, allowing him to monitor anyone approaching the prison in case he needs to make a quick getaway. As Escobar takes a look through the telescope, his henchman hands him a telephone. His daughter is on the line, staring back up at him through her own binoculars. "When can I go to the dollhouse?" she asks. A life-sized dollhouse sits a few feet away from her dad's room, just one of the little details that makes this prison so strange. A little girl's dollhouse, though far from ordinary, exists in the same prison where, just beyond its walls, Escobar is about to issue some very dark orders. Escobar walks into his office and sits down. In front of him, a white Italian marble desk. Behind him, a matching bookshelf. His whole office, including black leather couches and beautifully adorned drapes, looks like it belongs in a 5-star hotel. But today, Escobar has little time to appreciate his surroundings. On his mind is only one thing: betrayal. As we mentioned earlier, the rise of Escobar's cartel came at a steep cost. Escobar had ordered the assassinations of countless people, including very popular political and business leaders. He was also responsible for terrorist attacks, including the downing of a commercial aircraft, killing hundreds. His huge criminal empire made him a target for both governments and criminals. This made him paranoid beyond belief. Escobar saw enemies in every corner, even where none existed. At his desk, Escobar picks up the phone to confront Fernando Galliano, his voice seething with rage. His anger is palpable, a storm brewing. He had ordered all of the capos of the cartel to begin sending him $500,000 per week. Disobeying a direct order from Pablo Escobar is not something many people get away with, at least not in one piece. Escobar and Galliano argue, and they both say a lot of things Galliano is going to regret. Finally, Escobar orders that he and his associates immediately come to the prison. He slams the phone down. Outside the prison walls, a few cars make their way up the prison's entrance. Inside one of them are 2 of the world's most famous soccer players, René Higuita, the goalkeeper of the Colombia national team, and Diego Maradona, the pride of Argentina and soccer itself. They aren't just here for a friendly chat with Escobar. They're about to play a private match on one of the 2 state-of-the-art soccer pitches that sit behind the prison. The main soccer field, measuring almost the size of the prison itself, is allegedly one of the nicest in the city. The floodlights surrounding it are so bright that people in Medellin, dozens of miles away, could tell when Escobar was playing a match. Diego Maradona would later say they faced off, playing as forwards for their respective teams, and the drug lord managed to score several goals. After the match, Escobar and his guests head to the heart of the compound, the Grand Casino Hall, where much of the kingpin's leisure time is spent. Spanning 450 square meters, this massive room is more than just a gaming center. The casino hall is fully equipped to cater to every whim. 2 pool tables sit in one corner, along with a ping-pong table and multiple casino-style gaming stations. At the center of it all is a small altar dedicated to his beloved archangel Saint Michael. It's said that Escobar prays to the saint for protection, believing the divine helps shield him from the law despite the growing international efforts to tear his empire apart. But the room isn't all fun and games. It has an important practical side too. At the back, there's storage for his and his lieutenant's prized motorbikes. Ironically, one half of the hall is enclosed by prison bars, but in La Catedral, these bars aren't meant to lock anyone in. They're literally a mockery of Colombian and world authorities. "You got me," Escobar says. The bars serve as a reminder that even as a prisoner, nobody takes away his freedom. He moves in and out of his compound, living a life of opulence and pleasure, even under the guise of captivity. The hall echoes with the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and roaring conversations. The tables are pushed aside to turn the spacious hall into a lively dance floor. Music booms from the speakers, and the guests, a mix of sicarios, capos, soccer players, and Escobar's inner circle, mingle with the women. As the festivities ramp up, the party is now in full swing. Escobar, famous for his love of a good time, indulges without restraint. Drinks flow freely. Whiskey, rum, and champagne, and thick cigar smoke clouds the air. The narco kingpin moves through the crowd, at times taking center stage on the dance floor, at others sitting back and observing with his glass raised, a contented smile playing on his lips. But even amidst the luxury and excess, no one can ignore the tension in the air. Escobar is a man who lives on the edge, and everyone knows his mood could shift in an instant. As the hours tick by, the vibe of the evening slowly begins to change. Another set of cars appears at the compound's gates, their approach much quieter as they pull in. One of Escobar's sicarios lets him know. The carefree mood of the evening drains from his face, replaced by a menacing shadow. The music continues, the laughter still echoes through the hall, but Escobar's mind turns to dark intentions. The mask Pablo Escobar has worn for the past few hours is about to slip. He leaves the casino hall, accompanied by a small group of his most trusted men. The music and laughter fade behind them as they make their way toward a secluded part of the compound, the infamous torture chamber. Inside is Fernando Galano. Earlier in the day, Escobar had summoned him, and now is the moment of reckoning. The room itself is a stark contrast to the luxury of the rest of the compound. Cold, bare walls surround them, and the dim lighting is like something out of a movie. This chamber is the last stop for anyone who crosses the drug kingpin. Escobar enters, his demeanor cold as ice. He wastes no time confronting Galano about his refusal to pay the $500,000 weekly tribute. Galano tries to plead his case, but little does he know his fate was sealed the second he walked through the front door. Escobar's men overpower him. Nobody knows for sure what happens next, though horrifying rumors circulate. Only the outcome is certain. Galano will not leave La Catedral alive. Escobar exits the room, and his guards carry out the execution. When it's done, the body is quickly disposed of. This isn't the first time Escobar has had to deal with betrayal in such a way. You don't make it to the top of a global drug empire by playing nice. He's made countless enemies along the way, and his paranoia has only grown over time. Galano's fate is just one chapter in a long history of bloodshed and retribution. Escobar's paranoia isn't unfounded. He knows the enemies he's made outside are waiting, the political leaders he had assassinated, the rival cartels, the police forces across multiple countries. Every day he remains free, the target on his back grows larger. It was this very fear that drove him to turn himself in. Authorities are calling the surrender of trafficker Pablo Escobar a major victory in the war on drugs. Locking himself away in La Catedral was, in reality, his safest option. Here, surrounded by his own men and fortress-like walls, he could continue his operations without constantly watching his back. As Escobar returns to the casino hall, the party hasn't missed a beat. The music is still blaring, the guests are dancing, and the atmosphere is as lively as ever. Escobar slips seamlessly back into the revelry, as if his hands aren't caked in blood. To the unknowing eye, it's just another night of excess, yet those closest to him know the truth. Betrayal is never tolerated, and the cost of defiance is always fatal. Nobody is safe in this line of work, and Escobar's time is coming too. Escobar heads back to his room, unaware of the problems he set in motion. His enemies have united against him, forcing escape as his only path. The government, furious over another murder, demands his transfer to a high-security prison. His own allies, now turned enemies, fear for their lives too. Escobar, a ruthless killer, escaped from his own luxury prison when authorities tried to transfer him to another jail on July the 22nd, 1992. La Catedral would once again work as intended. As the army approaches, Escobar sneaks through the poorly constructed fence and wall, slipping away into the night. He serves just 13 months of his 5-year sentence. A year and a half later, a special police unit tracks him down to a safe house. After a rooftop chase, a gunfight ensues. A bullet passes through his head, killing him on the spot. Pablo Escobar, perhaps the most dangerous man on the planet, dies. He's only 44 years old. The prison, on the other hand, lasts a few more years, but even it starts falling apart. Tales of hidden treasure cause some to venture up the mountainside, sneak in, and begin looting the compound, dismantling it piece by piece. By the late 90s, the entire structure had been torn away. It's as if the palace had never existed at all. Colombia framed Pablo Escobar's imprisonment as a sign of strict control, framing his arrest as a major victory in the country's war on drugs. To maintain this image, the media was tightly controlled, revealing little about the luxurious reality inside his prison to avoid scrutiny. The site where La Catedral once stood is now a monastery and nursing home for impoverished senior citizens. While it had once been where the drug lord built a castle of sin and torture, it's now a place of respite and healing. Still, there's no washing away its dark history, and its inhabitants no doubt still remember the turbulent years of Pablo Escobar, El Patron.